welcome. My name is Daphne. I watched exactly 100 movies in 2025 because of this. This was my bingo card for the year. This is a game I've been playing with my friends since like 2020 or maybe 2021. You make a card of predictions for the year. It has to mostly be things that you have no control over, but you can do some where you're in control, like my 100 movies. The middle space is going to be your birthday, and if you get bingo, which I almost did, nobody wanted to get rid of my student loans for me, then everybody else that made a card buys you a drink. It's fun. It would be more fun if anybody has ever won a single game ever. That hasn't happened yet, but I was really close this year because I got my 100 movies in 365 days, which is a movie less than every 3.5 days, which at the time I had a job, I had shit to do. It's a lot. I got laid off last week, which is why I have the time to do this video. At the time, one movie every 3.5 days was asking a lot from me. I also wanted to watch 100 movies in the first place because I just wanted to like watch new things that were new to me. I don't rewatch a ton of stuff unless it's like Pitch Perfect, but I do watch the same type of stuff a lot. So I wanted to go for more like classic movies I've been putting off for a long time, or like movies that got recommended to me in real life by people I know. So I got to do a little bit of that, and I did also watch Pitch Perfect again at some point, but hang out with me, we'll talk about it. I'll show you all the stats and made charts I made out. So I kind of hit the ground running by watching a movie right on New Year's Eve. Go me, proud of myself. And it was the Kneecap movie. Kneecap is a Irish rap trio, and they rap in the Irish language. I love and I'm very interested in the Irish language. I think it just sounds beautiful. I love the way it's written. I love Irish names. It's got a very cool, very rich living history. It is just super interesting stuff. So I'm excited to watch more movies in that language, and Kneecap was just super funny. It was very entertaining right from the get-go. I do genuinely like their music, so I liked having that in the film too. And what I really liked is that because I'm using the genre designations of letterboxd.com, they sort of lump music movies and musicals into the same genre category, but that is sort of a mouthful, so I'm calling it musicals. So I get to say that my very first movie of 2025 was a musical. It was one of 9, which is also the amount of movies I watched total in January, which is also the bare minimum number of movies I needed to watch to start the year off on the right track in January, but we did it. I have such a bad habit of going, oh my god, Olive. Anyway, another real highlight of January for me was the Elliot Page double feature I did with Whip It and Juno. Those were 2 movies I truly had no business going so long without seeing. I obviously loved them. If you know me, at least that's obvious. Teenage me would have really liked those movies, which is always like a nice way to feel when you finish watching something. And that actually reminds me, another movie teenage me would have really liked that I saw in January was Elisa Frankenstein. I thought it was adorable, but honestly, I couldn't like love it because it needed to be rated R. It did. The characters, the plot really would have benefited from some more sex, gore, and violence. Hello. The art just called for more sex and violence. The story just called for more sex and violence. Honestly, February was not crazy for me. I only watched like 5 movies the whole month, and I would like to blame it on the fact that we were missing a few days, but the math does not add up there. And at this point, 2025, I am officially behind schedule. And it gets worse before it gets better, but every movie I watched in February was a banger. They were fantastic. No notes and no questions. Thank you. And yes, I'm including Space Jam. Space Jam is an all-time childhood favorite of mine. It's also the first of the animated movies that I watched this year, of which there were not a ton. I do like it. I liked all those popular movies. Bless you, Miss Bug. So I'm happy with 5 out of 100 movies being animated. All right, for this month, I need you to look at the bar chart I made. Please draw your attention and take a wild guess as to what month I had a breakup in. It was March. I needed to be out and about in March. I did not want to be home sitting around watching movies in March. And I also, in March, started planning a cabaret. I did an original show with one of my best friends. We had to learn a bunch of songs. I taught her to dance. She had never danced before. I had to teach myself how to cut music and a bunch of stuff like that. So I only watched 124 minutes of movies in March out of the total 9,939 minutes I needed to watch for the whole year. Well, that's what I ended up watching for the whole year, which turned out to be 6 days, 21 hours, and 39 minutes, which is exactly 2 hours and 21 minutes short of one whole week of my life. You know, really, if I had just watched one more movie in March, something exactly 2 hours and 21 minutes long, like Age of Ultron, Wonder Woman, Catch Me If You Can, then a whole week of my year, 1/52nd, would have been watching movies. Life's full of regret. And then you die. Cabaret was great though. I'm a big Liza Minnelli fan, big Bob Fosse fan. I did a bunch of like dance and musical theater when I was a kid growing up. So April, my birth month, had some of my favorite and also my least favorite movies of the whole year in it. And when I say least favorite, I mean like I did not want to finish them. I had to go back and finish them at a later date, which is not something I usually do. I am a quitter. If I don't like it, I'm not going to finish it. But if I was going to watch 100 movies and I was already kind of like at least 10 movies behind, I was not going to be able to be so precious about it. And I actually really enjoyed watching movies when I was getting ready for work, which I did not know about myself. So I actually watched the movie No Exit, which I liked more than I thought I was going to. I watched it because the main actress was in Bottoms, which I loved. I felt like I was able to get ready for my day and watch the movie at the same time. So I decided that as long as I didn't have like my phone out and I wasn't using the movie as just background noise, if I was actually paying attention to it, even if I was doing something else, it was going to count. So the movie I actually did not want to finish was The Room. I'm sorry, I don't like The Room. I am somebody who likes bad movies. I like So Bad They're Good movies. I like campy movies. I like really dirt cheap movies. I don't see the appeal in The Room. I watched the first hour of it in April and I didn't finish the last half hour until November. I couldn't find the humor in it. I couldn't get through. Some of the scenes were painful to get through. It wasn't holding my attention. I just really do not see the appeal in The Room. I just didn't want to finish it. I had no desire to see it through, and I don't understand the fanfare for it. Sorry. In May, I actually went to the movie theater sort of on a whim with one of my cousins, and we ended up seeing Sinners. I fell in love with it within the first 20 minutes of the movie. I actually went to Sinners really blind. I had no idea Michael B. Jordan was playing two characters. I had no idea that there was going to be so much music in the movie. I had no idea that it was even going to be a vampire movie until the movie made that glaringly obvious, and I love vampire movies. It was easily the best movie I saw in theaters the whole year. If you haven't seen it yet, you absolutely have to. Tell them I said you have to. And another May favorite for me is definitely gonna be Kiss Me Deadly from 1955. It's one of those movies I am so happy that somebody told me about. It was recommended to me by two of the coolest people I've ever met. They've never steered me wrong with a movie before. They recommended Repo Man to me that I watched in April. But Kiss Me Deadly was just such a captivating story. It is this 50s detective noir film about a PI. He finds this woman on the side of the road, and then because he helps her, he gets into a bunch of trouble with these different groups and organizations. I felt like it maybe referenced a bunch of tropes or other movies made before it in that same genre that I didn't really have the vocabulary to understand. I felt like I maybe was missing something in that one regard, but it was a beautiful movie to look at. It was really interesting from start to finish. I definitely want to revisit it after I watch some more noir films, and it made me want to watch more noir films. So Kiss Me Deadly is probably one of the movies I'm glad I watched the most. I think it's going to open a cool door for me. Although I started with watching 2 of them in May, I watched the rest of the entirety of the Final Destination series in June, and it was all in preparation for going to see the new Final Destination Bloodlines in theater with my friend, because we had both like really liked the movies as a kid. Final Destination was actually like a very foundational horror series for me as a kid alongside Scream, and I am a huge horror fanatic, so that is like a load-bearing sentence for me. But I was honestly sort of disappointed in the new one. I did like a lot of things about it. Some of the kills were cool. I liked the song in the beginning scene, but I didn't care about the characters. I sort of felt the pacing was a little weird. I didn't like the opening premonition kill scene in the restaurant, the needle tower, whatever scene you want to call it. It just didn't have me on the edge of my seat when I was really, really excited to be on the edge of my seat. So I was just expecting a little more from it in general, but it was nice to go see something in theaters. I was actually sort of disappointed in myself when I looked at like how many movies I had seen in theaters. I like to think I go to the movies more than the average person does, but it turns out that's actually not true, except I'm going to pause the recording to Google it right now, because now I need to know. So it turns out the average person in the United States is going to the movies only like once or twice a year, so I am statistically doing better than that, but not like quite really where I want to be. I would, in a perfect world, love to go to the movies like once or twice a month. So if I want them to be open and I gotta help keep them open, I gotta get on myself about that. I watched 8 total movies in July for a combined 764 minutes of view time that month, which was way more than I thought I was going to get for July, because not only was I promoted at work that month, but I also take a week off every July to go spend time with my extended family. So long story short, short story long, all of this to say, I'm finally back on track with my movie watching in July. I am at 5,127 minutes of what ended up being my total 9,939 minutes of watch time for the whole year. So July, the over the hump month, ended up being the month that I got over the hump with my movie watching. And yes, I watched the Minecraft movie. I've been playing Minecraft for at least 12 years, probably more. I was always going to watch it. I know it was bad. That doesn't really matter to me. At this point, I watched it stoned on my couch. And I had a great time. And I didn't even know Jennifer Coolidge was in it. And I love Jennifer Coolidge. I'm not good at doing impressions, but I can't stop myself. Hi. For August, I want to talk just like really briefly about 2 movies that I both started like 20 minutes in and then had to go back and watch the beginning of my own or later times. It would count, but Garbo Talks and Art School Confidential were 2 movies I never would have really watched in a million years, except I watched both of them in 1 month last year. So shows what I know. I have this friend who I love who just throws on random stuff on Tubi, and it always ends up being something that our eyes are just like glued to the screen for. I can't really say that either Garbo Talks or Art School Confidential are my favorite films of the year. I cannot say that they were particularly memorable films either, but I had just such a good experience watching them because it wasn't something either me or my friend would really ever reach for. It was nice, and it was part of the reason I wanted to do 100 movies in the first place, was so that I would push myself in this way, watch movies I wouldn't normally watch, even if at the end of the film I wasn't like, holy cow, that opened my eyes, this is my new favorite movie, you know? Quick side note while we're talking about Tubi, it's not a movie, but probably the best TV show I've seen in a really long time. It's on Tubi. It's called Our Sordid Lives. It is from like 2001. It got Leslie Jordan and Olivia Newton-John. It looks like it was made for $10. It made me laugh so hard I almost peed myself. It made me cry so hard I had to pause it. It is a little like comedic drama show about a Southern family. They have this gay son, and he like moves out to LA to be out of the closet. He's like half in the closet. I wish I could describe the humor of the show to you and like the heart of the show to you more than I could describe the plot, because the plot's not gonna sell it for you, but you should definitely give it a shot if you're looking for like a little quick like 20 episode 1 season show to watch. September was a real heavy hitter of a month for me. I watched 13 movies in September. That's one every 2.3 days, which I was really only able to do because I watched 2 movies on the 2nd and also 2 movies on the 9th. I watched Fargo and The Wicker Man back to back in September, which was very eye-opening because they were both movies featuring cops as the main characters, and just the portrayal of police officers then and now, especially Fargo because it's an American movie, was just so interesting to see. It really was like, wow, I'm looking at something completely through another person's perspective in terms of portraying police as in the right or in the wrong, as good people, bad people, morally gray people, as intelligent or stupid people, as helpful or obtrusive or harmful people, and getting to watch both of those movies with my roommate, getting to hear someone else's opinion, have like a bounce board there in real time was really, really interesting. It was like a cool, fun experience. I like getting into little combos like that with my roommate. She's really smart. Last but not least, for September, I watched my one and only documentary for the year this month. All of my coworkers back in September were talking about that Netflix documentary where this woman was like cyberbullying her own daughter and her daughter's boyfriend, and it just made me think so much of Catfish from 2010. So I did not watch that new documentary, but I did go back and watch this old one. October, not to my surprise, was another favorite movie month for me, but it also had probably my least favorite movie of like the whole year in it. So starting off with the good though, I finally saw Oddity in October. I loved it immediately. It was recommended to me from some random TikTok I saw on my FYP, and it was one of those things where I went, I think I'm gonna like this. I don't want to hear any more about it. I'm not going to watch the trailer. I've decided to watch it. I'm just going to watch it. And I am so, so glad I did. Going to movies blind is sort of like the best way to watch them. And I think Oddity is definitely one of those movies. The twist was a genuine twist for me. The main actress is phenomenal. I really like the setting of it. The opening scene is so, so tense, which is something I really like from a horror movie. I like that like nervous like tension, like holding your breath type of feeling, and I definitely got that from Oddity. So definitely see Oddity if you like horror movies, and I will be saying that to you again before the video ends. I also finally saw Napoleon Dynamite in October. Immediately really loved that one. I would have loved that one as a teenager too. When everybody clapped when he danced at the end, I cried. It was just cute. It was fun. So the movie I saw in October that I really just did not like was Weapons. It came like very highly recommended to me by people that I knew in real life who knew me, said I was gonna like the movie. I was really ready to be into it. I did like Barbarian. I went to go see Weapons on Halloween, and it just like did not do it for me. I liked the formatting of the movie. I thought a lot of the cast was great, but like the T-pose running just didn't do it for me. I felt like the movie sort of like fumbled some of its own themes. The gun in the sky thing, I have not been able to get out of my head in a bad way since I saw the movie. And then so many people I know kept saying that like it wasn't a school shooting movie, or like they didn't see the school shooting aspect of the movie. So I was sort of just confused all around by this one. November was another really solid month for me. The next cabaret I did was over. The weather was starting to get a little darker, a little colder, and I was able to watch 10 movies that month with some real favorites in it for me. One of them being the Martin Scorsese short film, The Big Shave from 1967. It's only like 6 minutes long, but it's very tense. Like I was saying, I really liked it. Had me on the edge of my seat that entire 6 minutes. Now you may be thinking to yourself, 6 minutes for a 100 movie competition, we can say. Surely that has to be against the rules. Surely it is not, because I came at the short film with pure heart and pure intentions. I like to take the spirit and the letter of the law into account So I thought back to when I was creating my bingo card at the end of 2024, and I came to the decision that if I had wanted to watch 100 feature-length films, I would have said that. And I'm not going out of my way to watch short films to like artificially boost my numbers. I was only watching short films I was genuinely interested in watching. Again, pure heart, pure intentions. So the short films are allowed to stay. Two of my favorite full-length films from November, however, were Multiple Maniacs and Whiplash. Multiple Maniacs I thought was hilarious. Divine stars in it. She's always fantastic. If you have ever wanted to get into John Waters as a filmmaker, but you're not quite like ready to watch Pink Flamingos, I would definitely recommend Multiple Maniacs. It's a very visually and comedically similar film. It has a lot of the same cast in it, and it's just like a really fun watch. I would definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. Whiplash is one of the movies I definitely knew I wanted to watch at the very beginning of the year, and I'm really glad I did. It is sort of like a more sexually charged Devil Wears Prada for boys. Loved it immediately. I wish the movie was longer. I remember watching it and going, what do you mean that's the last scene? Because I just wanted it to keep going. I listened to the soundtrack immediately. I started quoting the movie immediately. It is the exact type of movie that I knew I was going to like, but for some reason I went years and years without watching it anyway, so I'm glad it ended up finally as part of my 100 movies last year. At the end of the year, I really wanted to watch 101 movies just to sort of say that I did. And while that did not happen, I did finish my 100th movie on Christmas Eve with a full week of the year left to spare. And I just really quickly wanted to talk about like 3 of my favorite movies from December before we move on to the end and I go over like top genres, top movies, least favorite movies, stuff like that. First up was my penultimate film of 2025, and it was the original 1988 version of Hairspray. This is another John Waters movie. It is not a musical like the 2007 version, but if you are a fan of the musical, you absolutely have to watch the original. The two movies are so different. They're hard to compare in certain ways. The sense of humor is just so different. I think this original movie is hilarious, especially John Waters' character when he is on screen is just fantastic. But I watched the 2007 version so many times that my mom introduced me to the original, I think just so she could get a break. Hairspray is a movie that's actually very important to me, so I will take no Hairspray slander. I love that movie. I also finally got around to watching Die Hard last year. It is 100% a Christmas movie. I don't really understand what the debate on that one is. And it also really made me want to watch more action movies, which I think I said earlier, but also more Bruce Willis movies. I loved him as an actor, and I know he's in a bunch of stuff I still haven't gotten around to seeing. And then last but not least, my last movie for the entire year was Speed. It's another action movie. I definitely thought action was going to be like my third place overall genre for the year, but I really liked it. Not as much as Die Hard. The beginning of Speed was a little slow for me, but it was cool to see Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock look so young. I'm used to what they look like now. And Speed was just like a really fun, easy watch. I don't even think I knew it was going to be my 100th movie when I put it on. My best friend couldn't believe that I had never seen it before. It came up and told me about this bus jump scene in the middle of us doing something totally different, but Speed was just like a fun, easy watch, which you need sometimes. All right, so that was the play-by-play for my year of 100 movies. I want to get right into like the genre breakdowns and stuff, and I am going to cheat and use my laptop a little. So for genres, in third place, we have science fiction with 11 movies. I definitely used to be more into science fiction. I definitely had like a little Star Trek phase in high school, but I really expected like action or even like fantasy to be in this third place spot. The second place is definitely a jump. It is with 40 movies. The genre itself, not a surprise to me, really. It's comedy. I love to laugh. Oh my God, who doesn't love to laugh? That's crazy. And of course, as a surprise to no one, accounting for a total of 50% of every movie I watched last year, the horror genre. I really could have and should have watched more horror movies. I definitely thought this was going to be more of like 70% of the movies I was gonna watch, but I also wanted to do Hooptober for the first time in 2025. If you don't know what that is, it's like this 5 or 6 week thing right before Halloween where you watch 31 different movies that have to meet all these different like fun little categories. For horror specifically, maybe I'll do it this year, but it turns out doing like a whole little song and dance cabaret takes up a lot more time than I thought it was going to. So I really had less time for movies overall last year than I was planning on having. As it would turn out, it's really, really easy to go years and years of your life not watching a movie that you know you want to watch and have access to. So here's a little in memoriam for all of the movies I thought I was going to watch when I set out to do 100 movies at the beginning of 2025 and somehow still didn't end up watching by now the beginning of 2026. All right, top movie time. My top films of 2025 in no particular order are, and these are only the films I saw for the first time last year: Whiplash, Sinners, Oddity, Multiple Maniacs, and Repo Man. On the other end of the spectrum, my least favorite movies of 2025 are, in no particular order, Salem's Lot, Movie 43, Smile 2, Weapons, and The Room. The oldest movie that I watched was Alice in Wonderland from 1951. The longest movie that I watched was The Wolf of Wall Street, which was 180 minutes long. And the 3 movies I watched in 2025 that I would most recommend to somebody in no particular order are Repo Man, if you like 80s movies, especially if you like 80s movies like They Live or 80s sci-fi movies. Hairspray, the 1998 version, 98. Hairspray, the 1988 version, if you're interested in John Waters at all, or if you're just a fan of the 2007 version. And last but not least, I would recommend Oddity to anybody who is interested in watching a horror movie. Oddity is my horror movie of the year for sure. And you know, no, I'm not going to pick a movie of the year. I think that's too much pressure. But horror movie of the year for sure. All right, so thank you so much for hanging out with me, listening to me go off about all the movies I watched last year. I really appreciate it. I would love to hear about what you think and about what movies you watched, so let me know.